Hello, MCU fans! Today is going to be my breakdown and review of X-Men 97, Episode 9, a fantastic penultimate episode in an epic X-Men season. So there will obviously be spoilers, but as long as you're okay with that, let's dive right in and see what we can find out. Don't forget we have a May contest running all month long. Be a subscriber, leave a comment, win a book or a steelbook. Best of luck! And this month has been so busy that I'm only now announcing the April winners. Now, I say winners because the April winner is Sewing3049, who had this great comment on my X-Men timeline video. And because I have not heard back from February's winner, after 60 days, I pick an alternate, and that is this fantastic comment about my truck being broke down, so just going to get some nice watch time in while waiting for AAA. Love it. So both of you go to the About page of my channel, and you can reach out to me either via Discord or email, both of which are located there. And congratulations. Also, we do have a membership option in case you want to help me with my goal of doing this full-time one day. But honestly, no matter how you support the channel, it's all greatly appreciated. Leaving comments, liking videos, and subscribing, those things go a long way too. So thanks so much. All right, so we start this episode with Wolverine narrating the Previously On. And I suspect that he's got to be narrating this episode because he won't be narrating much after the end of this episode. Yikes. We'll definitely get to that. Then I love this little Easter egg in the beginning, when the X-Men are fighting the evil mutants and running towards each other. Notice that the humans have now turned into Prime Sentinels. Oh, that's so cool. I love that little detail. And notice the guy in the middle where you can barely see much of his head, but look at his neck, and you can even see the technovirus forming out of his neck. Love it, love it, love it. So cool. The only change to the character cards this week is Storm, who is now wearing her new costume. So it does make you wonder, will we be seeing lots of new costumes? Because everybody changed theirs, right? Maybe next week, everybody will get a new look. We'll have to wait. All right, so as for the episodes, they continue to show us this Cable versus Apocalypse episode from Beyond Good and Evil. Is Apocalypse going to show up or not? I don't know. I mean, my gut tells me no, but at this point, anything's possible, right? It's been a crazy season. But I'll tell you what, they continue to show us this Phoenix set of scenes, and I really think that means something. We have to keep this in mind because there were 3 references to the Phoenix in this episode today. We have Storm saying to Jean, "You're a survivor, a Phoenix." We also have Beast mentioning that the mnemonic scrambler that they're going to use to shut down Bastion was used to shut down Jean's powers when she was the Dark Phoenix. And then we get Rogue making this crack about who dies next, Professor. Jean, been there, done that. 3 references to Phoenix. I have to wonder, will the Phoenix Force come into play in the final episode? At this point, I'm going to guess yes, but I'd love to know your thoughts as well. The other episodes they show us flashbacks to totally make sense, although I would have thought it'd been cool if both Jubilee and Sunspot were running against the chain fence. That feels like a missed opportunity, but still, very cool. Obviously, Mr. Sinister is attacking in this episode. That's why we got this one. And Asteroid M is clearly returning in this episode. In fact, Bo DeMaio said, watch Sanctuary Parts 1 and 2 as prep work for the 3-part finale. And he was right, because Asteroid M had a big impact on this episode. All right, so speaking of the episode itself, notice that the Prime Sentinels are now frozen in place because of Magneto doing the blackout, worldwide blackout. Even Bastion's mom is now frozen in place with a little tear going down. That's kind of wild. But am I supposed to feel sorry for Bastion and his tears? I don't know. I mean, dude, you're the one that infected your mom with the technovirus and made her a Prime Sentinel. Keep that in mind. You did this to her. But I have to wonder, did Bastion fail? Because as he's placing his mother on her bed and looking up at the painting that he made, based on his understanding of the future, and he was right. At this point, this happened, right? The Tri-Sentinel attacked Genosha. But now he's saying it's finally quiet, Mother, because he can't hear anything, right? It reminds me of Storm when she couldn't hear the wind, when she had her powers taken away. Bastion cannot hear the electronics because Magneto has shut down all the world's electronics. So if you would ask Bastion right now, dude, do you think you won? I have to think he would say no. He would have to wonder, why is this not happening the way I predicted it? Because the Earth is going to be destroyed, at least as far as he knows. So very interesting. I have to wonder, did he think he won or not? All right, so then we have Jubilee and Sunspot on the run, and boy, these people are mad. You thought Genosha was bad, just you wait. Too bad the hospitals ain't got no power, because you're going to need one. No power, no peace. And actually, I get it. I get why these guys are mad this time. I'm not siding with Friends of Humanity. They're all awful people. But, I mean, all the electronics have been shut off, and they blame the mutants for it. So both Sunspot and Jubilee power up, but it ends up they don't need to use those powers because Storm and Forge to the rescue. And Storm flies down looking fantastic. I assume just shoos away the crowd and then gets this big hug from Jubilee. She's 18. She's an adult now, but still, you got to remember, she barely an adult. I mean, she's been through trauma since the first day she joined the X-Men. So it's really neat just to see her hugging Storm like a mom. Love it, love it, love it. Then things, boy, really hit home for Professor X. I mean, seeing his hover chair destroyed, he's got to be wondering, where did he go wrong? Likewise, Magneto really hits home for him as he's deciding there is nothing left for me here on this Earth anymore. I'm done. So I got to ask a question. Whose side are you on? It's kind of like the Civil War movie, right? Team Cap, Team Iron Man. I mean, are you Team Xavier or Team Magneto or somewhere in the middle? I got to say, I am the eternal optimist, so I will always be Team Xavier, but I understand why Magneto is really ticked. I mean, this is too much. It's too much. And he needs to do something. But here's the thing, Magneto. The something you need to do is you need to go after Bastion. I don't get it. I mean, I understand he's just done with Earth and he's moving on. But when he shut off the power, he's killing mutants as well as humans, right? So why are you doing that? Why are you destroying the Earth and everything? Go after this guy. And for that matter, go after the government. Because, and not all the government, but everybody at this table needs to pay. They're sitting there with Bastion. They helped him pull off what he did, right? And it made me think, of all people to say this line, I didn't really process it last episode. Magneto was right. Well, you know what, Val? You made him right. Come on. You were sitting there with Bastion. You enabled Bastion. And now you think you can take the moral high ground and go, Magneto was right. Oh, my word. Right? Don't you want to just smack her right now? In fact, smack everybody in that room. This is the government's fault and Bastion's fault alone. And the rest of the Earth has to pay for it. Yikes. So, again, I ask, whose side are you on? Xavier, who naively keeps hoping for a good future? I admit I'm naive as well. Or Magneto, who wants to burn it all down? Somewhere there's got to be a middle ground here, guys. Hopefully they find it by the end of next episode. Yikes. Craziness. All right, so Magneto decides to take action. He brings Asteroid M out of the ocean. And if you did watch the Sanctuary episodes that Bo DeMaio mentioned, at the end of that, Magneto crashed Asteroid M through the Earth's atmosphere and into the ocean. And I do have to chuckle a little bit. That thing's been down there for a while. If you watched my timeline video for the animated series, you know that Sanctuary Part 1 and Part 2 are in May of 1995. Current day, right now, in the X-Men series, that would be November of 1997. Yeah, so that thing sat down in the bottom of the ocean for 2.5 years. Now, maybe Magneto kept like some magnetic force around it just in case he needed it again, because otherwise that thing would be rusty. Anyway, regardless, somehow it survived, and now it's going to be his new home. So this line is so important. Jean frames it for us all, right? The world is going to end in 12 hours. 12 hours. Again, keep in mind, Magneto is destroying the entire Earth, mutants and humankind alike. So she's like, you two better make up fast. So Professor X and Scott have it out, kind of, and Professor X explains, I wanted you two to be free, to have a family, a child like Nathan. And I don't know why Scott can't process this. It's not the first time he's heard this argument. In the flashbacks at the beginning, previously on, they told us, Cyclops is sitting here, man, did the professor just not trust me? Dude, get over it, because even Madeline said to you, maybe he did this for us. So all Scott can do is just keep thinking, Professor X thinks I'm a failure. He thinks I'm a failure. Dude, Madeline told you you're not, and now Professor X told you you're not. But still, he walks away, will not take the outstretched hand, and instead walks out of the room by walking through the hole in the wall. That's kind of funny. But I would have to argue that Cyclops is the real villain of this episode by not being willing to reconcile with Professor X. I mean, yes, X was wrong. He left and didn't tell anybody why. That was a mistake. But dude, Bastion's the villain, not Professor X. Magneto's the one that shut off the power to the world. Professor X didn't do either of those things. Get over it and work with Professor X. So I think the fact that they didn't reconcile here really comes into play at the end of this episode. We'll talk more about that. But this reunion was awesome. Love this. Storm and Jean, their sisterly love is so cool. I also like the fact that Bo's writing, or whoever wrote this one, I guess I didn't check to see if he wrote this specific episode, but overall, he's the showrunner. The writing is so good. Forge says, this old thing, well, it still works because I rigged together an electrostatic deflector ages ago, because somebody would have written in and said, how's that thing still working if there's no electronics? And you also have to wonder, is this maybe going to be the way they take down Bastion and or eliminate the magnetic field issues on the Earth because of Forge's tech? Pretty cool. They also address this issue, because the question is, how are the X-Men going to have any power to do anything? Well, they're going to relocate to the old base on Muir Island, which is powered by Shi'ar tech and therefore is operational. Love it. Fantastic writing throughout this series. Okay, so they're reinforcing again, the Earth is in bad shape. All first world infrastructure are in ruin across the world. And Cyclops says thousands are feared dead. Well, this is where I just really get kind of frustrated at Cyclops. Dude, it's not thousands. It's tens of millions. If Magneto shut off all the power across the entire globe, airplanes would crash, trains would crash, everything would I mean, this is Infinity War level destruction. So even the fact that Cyclops can't process that Magneto's the real villain here, and Bastion is as well, not thousands, tens of millions are dead. And then this really brings it home, right? Storm says, I can feel the Earth's magnetic field dying even now. So with the magnetic field gone, I mean, all kinds of problems are going to happen, right? Basically, when the sun sets tonight, it sets on the future. So here's what's pretty crazy. Magneto doesn't even care that right now it's just him on Asteroid M. Everybody else is going to die, and I guess it's just him going to hang out there. Of course, we're going to see that Rogue and Sunspot join him, but okay, 3 are there now. That's your plan, Magneto? That's your plan? Magneto is very reactionary, and I'm not sure he thought this through. But nonetheless, I like the fact Scott finally takes some leadership, says, Rogue, you're going with me and the blue team to find Magneto. Storm and Jean will lead Gold Team to shut down Bastion at his headquarters. And of course, the blue and the gold team are referring to, oh my goodness, fantastic comics run in the 90s. Jim Lee art, so good, where they did indeed split into blue and gold teams. And Scott led one, and Storm for the most part, but also Jean led the other one. So very cool. Very, very cool. Then they might have a solution to fix the Prime Sentinels, because Beast says, Forge and I believe we can restore the Prime Sentinels' innate humanity. So Trish Tilby and, well, so many others, countless others, tens of thousands of others could be freed from Bastion. We'll just have to see whether they're able to pull it off. And then, man, boy, did this hit home. Bastion could have been an X-Men. Oh, my word. So Professor X says, when I first founded the school, I visited Sebastian's mother. Cerebro had detected him, so I assumed he was a mutant. So put a pause there, right? Yet another reference to him being a mutant, because Cerebro should not have been able to find him if he isn't at least part mutant. But I think he's also part mutate. So basically between Nimrod, Master Mold, everything going on, I think he's both. But that is very interesting that Cerebro did detect him. But man, then Professor X says his mother slammed the door when she heard the word mutant, basically. So yeah, this lady right here, which I covered in my last breakdown, that is his mom, who did appear, by the way, in One Man's Worth. She was in that episode. She was totally racist in the episode as well. She basically ratted out the mutants to a bartender in one scene, and yeah, she showed her true colors. So you know what? Maybe we can blame all this on one woman. The title shouldn't be One Man's Worth. It should be One Woman's Lack of Worth, because yes, your racism, ma'am, destroyed the Earth, potentially. Craziness. So then Storm says, in another world, Bastion would be in this portrait over there on the left. Wow. Yeah, what a way to think of that. That there could have been a world where Bastion was teaming with them instead of destroying them all. Crazy. And then the hits keep coming, because Sunspot jumps in with, well, Xavier, didn't you also believe it was a good idea to hand the bad guy your school? Man, poor Xavier, just getting pounded on by everybody. And here's the thing that kind of drives me a little crazy. Yes, Professor X messed up. He left, gave the school over to Magneto. But guess what? Bastion still would have happened. It didn't, even if Professor X had never left, Bastion still would have happened. Maybe he wouldn't have been successful. Maybe he would have, because no one saw Genosha coming. Anyway, enough of that, right? Okay, so Scott does the right thing. Blame game's over, people. Blame game's over. But you do have to wonder, is Professor X right now using his mental ability? I know he says he'll never do it, but you wonder if he's just peeking in their minds and going, man, they all hate me. They all hate me. I feel so bad for him. I feel so bad. Anyway, then they solve another plot hole because they mention Kurt will teleport us to Muir Island since they don't have a Blackbird left. But I have to wonder, did they really solve a plot hole or raise another one? Can Kurt teleport them all the way to Scotland? Is that possible? I didn't think he had that ability. So anyway, let me know in the comments if you think this really actually is a plot hole. But nonetheless, somehow they're going to get to Scotland. And it's worth pointing out at this moment that Sunspot has his comic-accurate original costume when he joined the New Mutants. Way back with that first graphic novel. So I love it. That's very cool. In fact, we're going to see a lot of old costumes returning. So once again, poor Professor X takes hits, as Rogue implies that maybe if you saw us as people and not students, some of this wouldn't have happened. I don't know. Man, leave the guy alone. Goodness. Focus on Bastion, focus on Magneto, and then you could beat up Professor X. And he tries. He says, I'm so sorry, Rogue, but Rogue is not having anything of it. So it is worth noting, Rogue at this point is wearing Gambit's jacket, probably to honor him, but of course she leaves that behind when she heads to Asteroid M. And then also, she's wearing her evil villain costume. Now, granted, it's also the costume she wore when she first approached the X-Men in this epic issue. 171 is such a good issue, but when she came to them for help, but notice she was still wearing her previous Brotherhood of Evil Mutants outfit, which she is now returned to. Yikes. And then in comes Magneto. Man, I'll give the guy this. He makes a grand entrance. Look at that shot there. So you got the group of X-Men on the far left, poor Xavier all by himself because nobody wants to be around him, and then Magneto at the end of the pier and that Asteroid M in the sky. Wow. That is so stinking cool. But again, I'm going to throw out this thought. What happens when Magneto dies and nothing's powering Asteroid M anymore? Magneto does not have a plan. That's the bottom line. But anyway, Professor X says, please, not this, Magus. Be reasonable. And no, Magus has a good point. Well, is humanity going to undo Genosha? I don't think so. So I got no choice but to do this. Okay, again, that's why I say he's very reactionary and very emotional, Magneto is. But he's right. Something's got to change. And then, wow, this is powerful. I promised a boy a future free of fear, only to watch his frightened eyes be vaporized inside his tiny skull. Oh boy, this brings you back to poor little Leech. So yeah, now if there was any doubt, because I did wonder if maybe he survived. Nope, he died. And I get it. I get why Magneto is so mad. Something has to change. I totally agree with that. I totally agree. I just don't think Magneto's plan is the way to go. And again, everything is all Professor X's fault. We've gotten here by walking this man's path. Oh my word. No, you've gotten here because Bastion is a villain and the government sought against you. Oh, my word. Anyway, just fascinating. I just felt so bad for Professor X in this episode. But yeah. Magneto, please, go fight Bastion. That would be my request to you. But anyway, I love this. I do love this. He's so mad. He says, decide my X-Men. He uses that phrase that poor Professor X always used to bring everybody together. And now Magneto is trying to pull them apart with that same phrase. Wow. So Rogue makes, I think, a pretty rash decision, but that's okay. She's mad. I get it. She says, in Genosha, I made a choice to lead our kind to a new age. But here's what's annoying. Notice, Nightcrawler is over on the right. You can see him over there, right? Then she says, none of you were there the day Genosha fell. This is why I'm saying this is an emotional reaction, because Rogue, honey, Nightcrawler was there. Not only was he there, he saved you. And not only did he save you, he almost died in the process. So I get it. She's mad. She's really mad. But remember, this is your adopted brother who loves you. So it just kind of shows that everybody's getting really reactionary and not thinking, which happens. That's normal. But still. Then she makes this crack, which actually has some validity to it. She says Morph was barely on the team for 30 minutes before we tossed them to the wolves. Of course, she's referring to the very first two episodes where, Morph was sent out into battle and got toasted. They thought he was dead for at least a full season. So, there have been mistakes, and Xavier made some of those mistakes, no doubt. But come on, folks. Then this one does really surprise me. Sunspot did not see this coming. Says, my mom handed me over to the Prime Sentinels, Jubilee. They collared me, my own family. What's left here? Well, Jubilee meekly says, me? So you wonder what's going to happen to their relationship. But part of me is like, Sunspot, you are as entitled as anybody I've ever seen on this show. And you're now going to live on a barren asteroid with Magneto and Rogue. Good luck, buddy. There. No butler up there for you. So really, this choice surprised me. But anyway, made for some good dramatic effect with them fighting each other coming up here. So yeah, speaking of dramatic effect, Magneto heads off with those who have decided to join him, and he says the door is open. So he's not shutting the door on the X-Men. But by the way, Magneto, what other mutants did you reach out to say the door is open? He just heads off in Asteroid M, hanging out there while the Earth is going to be destroyed. Anyway, Muir Island is a blast from the past because this epic Easter egg. Notice on the right, that is the toy that was Wolverine's motorcycle. Oh, my word. Meticulously rendered. I love some of the Easter eggs they put in this series. So much fun. And then speaking of a blast from the past, how about everybody's costumes here? Now they've got Storm's original costume, which, of course, she's chosen to go back to already. Cyclops's, Marvel Girls, a green costume. Another reference to Dark Phoenix and Phoenix Saga, by the way. Wolverine's brown and yellow. Love it. The jumpsuit of Xavier's. And then I'm really surprised they have Rogue's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants outfit there. But still, pretty cool to have them all there. And of course, now they have no choice but to put them on because they have no other outfits. And then I love this, man. Finally getting some revenge on Fox Studios. May have taken 24 years to get here, but yes, worth every minute. Am I going to war or a circus? And Cyclops, of all people, gets to say, well, what'd you expect? Black leather? Which, of course, we all know what that's referencing, right? Wolverine saying you actually go outside in these things, and Cyclops saying, well, what would you prefer? Yellow spandex. The reason this is such great revenge is it was Bryan Singer trying to make a crack on the comic-accurate costumes. Well, Mr. Singer, I hope you are watching this very episode and going, all right, that was a good one. That was a good one, because Singer's got a lot of issues, but one of them was that he did not like the comic costumes. So anyway, this was a nice reference to Chris Claremont. Notice 1 Claremont Avenue. Claremont was a fantastic writer, really brought the X-Men to prominence. And then we get Professor X meeting with President Kelly, and we get this framed now that we're down to an hour. In under an hour, civilization as we know it ends. Yikes. And then I love this reference to something from the comics. The Magneto protocols were drawn up for exactly this sort of crisis, he says. And of course, the Magneto protocols were a set of satellites that I guess could deactivate Magneto's powers. I'm not sure how they would help in this instance, although I guess maybe they're out. Maybe they would even shut down Asteroid M. Oh, wow, that'd be crazy to have Asteroid M crash back to Earth again. But nonetheless, Xavier's like, we don't need to do this. That's not what we need to do. Trust that I will be able to reason with him. And if you don't trust me, trust my X-Men. Love this group shot, particularly of Wolverine there in his comic outfit with the brown and the yellow. Forge in his X-Factor costume. Now Cable is in the costume, and then over on the left, Morph in their more superhero-like outfit. So very cool. But this is ominous. Kelly says, well, if you're wrong, Xavier, my hand will be forced. So I think this, more than anything else, is a wink and a nod towards X-Men versus Avengers. Do I think it's going to happen in the finale? No, I do not. I think this is going to be a big part of next season because we've already seen Captain America. We've seen Hulk. We've seen Spider-Man. I mean, it is one big universe. So love it. Cannot wait for an Avengers versus X-Men. Let me know if you think we're headed there, but I really think we are. All right, so the blue team is now heading to space, while the gold team is heading to the jungle and the Sentinels. So we'll pick up with the gold team. Jean and Storm once again with their sisterly love. Jean saying, make them mind your weather, sister. And Storm saying, and them weather your mind. Very clever little pun there. And just so touching to see them together. All right, so then Bo DeMeo gets a shout out. And well, not for long. In fact, there's a part of him probably that's going, yeah, I should have seen getting fired coming because we wrote in that my diner got destroyed. I really hope they can bring him back. I mean, I don't know what's going on between Marvel and DeMeo. All I know is DeMeo's writing is amazing. So yeah, but that is kind of funny how this all ended up there. But speaking of diners in trouble, this one is a very unwelcome message. I know you think it might say diner at first, but notice, look real close. Die. It's pretty funny. So yeah, this is welcome to the jungle, and lucky if you can get out alive. But I love this. Morph gives us a nice Hulk cameo. Morph smash. That was epic. And notice that Morph is using the same look that we saw from the Hulk animated series. I'm still trying to decide if I think all the animated series are one universe or not. I know Spider-Man and X-Men are the same universe. The other ones, the Fantastic Four, Hulk, Avengers, etc., I just don't know. I don't know if they are or not. Or Iron Man. Sorry, it was Iron Man. Let me know your thoughts, but this is certainly a wink and a nod to them being in the same universe because, same design. So then I love this. Beast claps back to pose a question. What's the sound of one hand clapping and whap? That's pretty fun. And then Sinister decides to make it personal. Why, by the way, did Scott send Jean to fight if there was a chance Sinister was going to show up? We all know Sinister and Jean have a big-time history. Oh, well, that's what happened, so here we are. He says, I know your genes, Jean. Love that. Only I know where you end and Madeline begins. And then the big tease. If you ask nicely, I can tell you when I switched you. So then Jean responds defiantly, it doesn't matter. Madeline fights with me today. Okay, I do like that. That's cool. But, Jean, I got to correct you. It does matter. It does matter because we want to know. I'm a timeline guy. I want to know when you were switched. So come on. Ask him. Ask him privately. Ask him later. Read his mind, but I want to know, darn it. Anyway, I do love this. Embarrassing way for Mr. Sinister to get struck down, if you will, because he is basically in a bowling alley struck with a strike, right? And then boom, she hits him with a bunch of bowling balls. I love it. A lot of fun. All right, so now we head back to space, and I love this scene too. Nightcrawler one-ups Rogue because they fly in, Rogue busts into the ship, and realizes that Nightcrawler has teleported them out, referring to him as an elf. That's funny. And here they are teleporting in to see Magneto sitting upon a throne. Look at that throne. Tri-Sentinel throne, and he's sitting on a Sentinel hand. My word, that's epic. All right, so we basically get Magneto versus Wolverine round 1. And there's something very important that's said in this round 1. So he says, you've chosen your side. And Wolverine is very happy. He says, oh, good, we're skipping the blabber. And jumps at Magneto, only to have Rogue pin him down and say, time out, sugar, you're playing to kill. Boy, was that ever a wink and a nod at what was going to happen. Because, yes, Wolverine is absolutely playing to kill. Everybody else is pulling their punches, kind of like in the Civil War movie Airport Fight. Not Wolverine. He is not playing around. Meanwhile, we do have Sunspot and Jubilee fighting each other, and he's like, hey, Jubes, I'm sorry. Are you okay? Are you okay? Boom, she blasts him back. I said I'm sorry. And then it's kind of fun to see both their powers going at each other. It's fun when they work together, but it's also fun when they fight each other, too. So that was very cool. All right, so back then down to the jungle for the minute, we see that Morph does a very clever move. So clever, I missed it. I didn't realize that was Morph. That was sneaky. Bastion, he's calling out Bastion. Xavier's brats have breached the base. But Bastion is not fooled. A snake like Sinister would never risk his life for another. Dope. And then I don't quite know what the plan was here, because was Beast really going to just sneak up on Bastion? I mean, obviously it didn't work, right? Because that's the neutralizer there, and Bastion just takes it out of his hand. So I'm not sure what exactly their plan was. But all we know is it didn't work. Likewise, we see Storm and Forge are finally in trouble. Forge's plane goes down. Storm's screaming for him, and then she's got this fight on her hands. And they leave it like both of them maybe didn't make it out of this. I suspect they did, right? Everything's looking bad, but I think several of them are gonna come back and kick some butt next episode. But man, even though it was a bad idea to send Jean against Sinister, I did not see this coming. Notice the little diamond on Cable's head activates as Sinister takes control of him. And then poor Jean is shouting out, Sinister's controlling you just like he controlled your mother. And I think that actually triggered Cable even more. My real mother was a world-class telekinetic, just like you. And so now he uses that telekinesis and blasts Jean. And then we don't really know what happened. All we do know is she felt the need to reach out psychically to Scott and say, I love you. So I don't know what's happening there, but this is where I'm wondering is maybe the Phoenix Force, maybe she's giving up control and giving the Phoenix Force control? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. But Scott does not like what happened. And I think this is what starts to make him panic. And remember from earlier, I said he didn't really trust Xavier, and that's going to come into play as well. So I will say, even though I'm Team Xavier, I thought this line was great. Oh, how I've waited to say these two words to you, old friend. Shut up. It is true. It is true. Xavier monologues quite a lot and gives his very wordy and I'm better than you speeches quite often. I still think Xavier's right, but I did think this was funny. And then it's all about the helmet, right? It's all about the helmet. He says, I must hijack his powers to repair Earth. And this is where Cyclops, like I said, is just not really trusting him. Sir, what about the Prime Sentinels? Because obviously, if Magneto is defeated and the Earth is, reactivated, the Sentinels will be reactivated as well. But this is leadership right here. Xavier's saying there is no time. We must trust the Gold Team to neutralize Bastion. So not only does Cyclops ultimately not trust Xavier, he doesn't even trust his own team. That is very interesting. But I do have to wonder, what was the plan on getting the helmet off? I mean, ultimately, Wolverine jumps on Magneto's back and gets it. Why didn't Nightcrawler teleport and grab it the moment they arrived? Here's the bottom line. Cyclops did not do a very good job of planning out these fights. I mean, why does he send Wolverine to fight Magneto? Wolverine, whose body is like, metal, which, of course, is going to be a problem coming up. Well, to his credit, Wolverine manages to get the helmet off of Magneto, so that's good, right? And Xavier decides, you have left me no choice, Magus, and boom, blasts him. Now, I'm a little surprised it was this painful for Magneto, but probably Magneto was resisting him as strongly as he could because we all know, right? Professor X is going to force Magneto to restore the Earth's magnetic field. And you got to wonder, is this a hint, as though there haven't been about 20 so far, is this the biggest hint we're getting that Onslaught might be arriving? So Onslaught in the comics was created when Professor X basically lobotomized Magneto, and this doesn't seem far from it. And then that left, though, Magneto's elements of Magneto's mind in Xavier's mind, which the evil part of Magneto took over Xavier's evil parts, because even Xavier has some bad thoughts, and created this awful Onslaught, which was nearly indestructible. I don't know, but I'm sure hinting at it. So let me know your thoughts. Is Onslaught coming right around the corner? But then, man, I think Scott pulled a Star-Lord. Let me know your thoughts, but I think this was maybe worse even than what Star-Lord did. Gold Team still needs more time, he says. So this isn't like Gamora died, and he doesn't even know if Jean died. All he knows is they're not done yet. Well, have faith, dude. Have faith. Instead, what you do is you blast Professor Xavier, which lets Magneto put the helmet on Professor Xavier, thus blocking his mental abilities, allows Magneto to get in this very nice pun where he says, Charles, you have now finally found the metal to do what is necessary. Ouch, the metal. Very well done. But clearly Wolverine does not appreciate what sounded like a dad joke and stabs Magneto. Now, I thought, okay, Magneto's toast, right? I mean, he must just be toast. Well, Wolverine does what every bad guy does, if you want to call Wolverine the bad guy in this case, and says his monologue. No, kill Magneto. Don't monologue, dude. Kill Magneto. I mean, these are good words, right? I've been in a lot of wars, bub. The brave always die first. Well, you know what? You should have killed him because you didn't, and instead you monologued. That let Magneto push you off. And then while I did think the blow that Wolverine gave to Magneto was a lot more like lethal, notice we get a clear shot of it here. It would have maybe hit his right lung, but his heart's over on the left side, obviously. So I don't know what Wolverine was thinking. Number one, that wasn't a death blow. And number two, you stood there monologuing instead of just swiping through him and killing him. So I do feel sorry for Wolverine, but man, you kind of brought this one on yourself because you gave Magneto the chance, ouch, to do that. Man, was that painful. How many of you had read the comics and knew this was coming? Because in the comics, this exact same thing happened. And how many of you were totally shocked when you saw that? I'm almost afraid to show my son this episode because man, oh man, is that pretty bad. Where does it all go from here? And I got to ask, who do you blame the most for all this mess? Who do you blame? Do you blame Cyclops for not trusting his team? Do you blame Magneto? Do you blame Professor X? Do you blame Bastion? Because I kind of think Bastion's responsible for a lot of this. Do you blame Val? Anyway, let me know. They have really got my mind whirling after this. Cannot wait for the season finale. And of course, they already told us season 2 is on the way. That's done. That's locked and loaded. And DeMaio did help with that. So that's great. And then they're telling us that season 3 and maybe even more is coming. So love it, love it, love it. All right. Don't forget, make contests, be a subscriber, leave a comment, win a book or a steel book. And of course, we have that membership option if you're interested in that. And we have the Discord. I will leave a pinned comment so you can join the Discord. So much stuff going on. We have rewatch parties. Love to have you join those. Here's more watch parties. MMORPG, that is a blast. Star Wars retrospectives, those will be fun. We have a thumbnail contest because we all know my thumbnails, they're not that great. But so you can help design the one for an upcoming Moon Girl video. And of course, we have mainly talks about Star Wars, DC, and Marvel. But in the other media forums, we can create threads for anything you want to talk about. Over 1,300 people across the globe, conversations 24/7. We want you to join us as well. So if you don't mind, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out more content, and we will all continue to enjoy the ever-growing, ever-changing Marvel Cinematic Universe.